All right, shows recording.
Okay. Call meeting to order. Any comments from citizens present? Any citizens that would like to address the committee? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the February 9th minutes.
This is Katie. I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the February 9th minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Okay, we are on to hearings and appeals. Appeal of the denial of the operator's license for Ryan Prentice, employee of Dickey's Barbecue Pit, 8225 Greenway Boulevard, Suite 200. Ryan was with us last month at our meeting. We asked Ryan to come back, and also the owner. Ryan, are you with us?
I am.
And the owner?
Yes, I am. Nick here.
Nick. Okay. Okay. The reason we wanted to hear from you, Nick, is because Ryan indicated that you were going to take care of the renewals of the operator's license. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yes, that is my responsibility, and I should have it in my calendar on an annual basis.
Okay. Has anybody received the operator's license for Dickey's to fill this shift? Or how are you covering that now?
We do have one gentleman, Joshua Bell, that Lori and I have I renewed that license, and obviously I have a license as well. But you know, Ryan is really our main guy, along with myself, so we definitely need him.
Was Josh the guy that was working the evening shift, or is there another person that you have filled that?
Yeah, Josh works more of the evening shifts. Yes.
And now he's working the day, and you're helping cover that also.
Correct.
Okay. And you haven't applied for this operator's license for anyone else at this point?
At this point, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Hoping that we can get Ryan approved here, and you know, like I said, for what it's worth, I know Ryan has made some serious changes, and he's, I mean, you can look the last couple of years, he's been fantastic. I 100% stand behind that. He is gonna make great decisions, and you know, he's gonna be a very valuable asset to the city of Middleton. Minors are not gonna be getting served. He's very responsible, you know. I guess it's just, if the past is an issue, I guess it's just asking for a second chance.
Well, one thing I had a question on is, after the last meeting, I was kind of confused, because a lot of the comments I heard, and we asked when did it expire, when was last time you had it, and it made it seem like this was a renewal, which didn't make sense to me, because for the last few years, these happened prior to that. And it was confusing to me why he would have had an operator's license before that and only being denied now. So I did check with Lori at the city, and Ryan has never had a operator's license in the city of Middleton. But I went back and listened to the recording, and there were like 6 times where it made it seem like this was a renewal. And I was really disappointed that it was almost that there were comments like, I thought I was already licensed, pretty sure I held a license a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm almost 100% for sure I had a license. And he'd never had a license.
That's totally my fault. I apologize to Ryan and to you. You know, I told him I really thought we had one a couple years ago, and then I did the exact same. I reached out to Lori, and she's like, Nick, you know, we have no record. Ryan didn't. So yeah, I know we took an online serving alcohol course, and I don't know where we went from there with it, but
I know we went to the city of Middleton, and we paid the fee. I went with Nick, and they must not have approved me then.
Right. So you would have been denied at that point. Yeah.
When I left there, I assumed that I was getting the license, and that's why I thought I had the license.
Well, No.
Because I didn't hear it otherwise. I didn't hear that I got denied. So
Yeah.
I assumed it all went well.
Right. So, and yeah, like I said, I have no idea. I'm quite certain that's totally 100% my fault and nobody
Uh-huh.
else's.
Uh-huh.
You know, I don't know how I didn't get that news. If, yeah, because like I said, I thought I remembered along with Ryan. We went down there, I put it on my credit card. Obviously, we went together. And I don't know if I just missed the you know, the letter in the mail or something that said it was denied, or I didn't remember the money being refunded. So again, it's just 100% my fault. Won't happen again.
I'm
So
not
this would have
sure.
been, this would have been 2 years. I'm sorry, Kathy, this would have been
Go
2
ahead.
years ago,
Yes.
is when this would have been?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's every 2 years, I believe you need to renew. Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, well,
in July. Yeah.
then I'm a little confused too, because we'd have to look back into the minutes, because I don't remember a denial for Dickey's a couple of years ago, and I was on the committee then.
Would we have gotten the denial or only if there was an appeal of the denial?
So it would have been an administrative denial?
I would have thought that's how, because unless this would have been appealed, we wouldn't have heard about this denial either, I don't believe.
That is correct. It first comes to the police department for the background check, and we have the initial approval or denial, and then they have the ability to appeal.
Okay.
I guess that's to me, that's a pretty big assumption that I got it, unless I heard otherwise. I would have, I mean, you need to have the certificate to, Jeremy, do you know if that certificate has to be on display at the establishment?
Yeah, so the licenses have to at least be easily accessible, and if we ever show up and look at them, yes, they would have to be. Most places either have them posted up on a wall nearby or in a book behind their counter.
Yeah, so that should have been your first clue that you didn't have a license, is that you didn't have it on display or somewhere easily accessible to be able to prove that you are indeed a licensed operator in Middleton.
We do have a binder with our licenses in there, and at the time we had 3 people getting licenses, and I thought I was one of the 3. And I know I put the licenses in the binder, but I guess I just never really noticed if it, you know, it was for me or not. I guess I didn't pay attention to that.
Right. Right.
Um,
So that's on us.
So, that's just a big, that's pretty much assumption. At this point, Katie, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, so, well, yes, I guess I do. So this is a denial of his supposed renewal. I don't know where we send folks from here.
I would say
'Cause
this is,
it's not a renewal.
It is not a
Correct.
renewal. This is
And-
an application that he was denied, just like he was 2 years ago.
I see. I
And
see.
yeah, 2 years ago, I figured there'd be nothing that would get me denied. That's kind of why I made the assumption. And I didn't see proof that I got denied, so I still assumed that I had.
Yeah.
That was totally my fault.
But at this point, you know, you were, at this point, you're denied twice, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and then this is the first I'm hearing of it. So I'm trying to appeal to you guys because I know that I'm capable of being a responsible server in the city of Middleton.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I can convince you guys, or if you could tell me why, or I was denied, or why you feel like don't.
Jeremy, do you have the list of reasons that he was denied? Because I know that there was DUIs and then servant minors.
Yeah, so on his application, the other issue is that it was an incomplete application, or so it included 2 of his OWI, operating while intoxicated charges, not a third, which was in 2007. So 2007, 14, and 18. In 2015, he sold to an underage person that we sent in In 2018, he was a manager. He was not on scene when officers did a bar check. He had been contacted and nobody there had an operator's license at that date. And he was contacted and said he didn't think either person working had a permit. And then just in January of 2021, we did license premise checks, and he was on scene at Dickey's, was the only employee, and said he thought he had a license, but it was verified he did not.
And that's how it all started, with me finding out I didn't have the license. And I swear I put my first and third OWI, so it should be the third. So I figured you guys would know that it was 3.
You
That was
listed
I
2000.
looked on CCAP and put everything on CCAP, and I guess the second one wasn't on there.
You listed 2014 and 2016.
And 2014 was my third. So I figured you guys would know 3.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the application says you're supposed to include all.
I
Yeah.
know that was my mistake. I
So-
just put on
Yeah,
CCAP.
I did look at the application, and the application is very clear. Everything has to be listed. This is not, I thought, I thought I had it. I thought these were mine. This is important that the licenses are, there's a licensed operator on duty at these places. And the reason we have operator licenses is because we want responsible people in charge. And I'm not getting that.
I don't know what else I could show you. Like I'm responsible when it comes to checking IDs and serving alcohol. And now that I know that I can take on the responsibility of making sure I'm fully licensed at all times. And, that's what I can say to you, I guess.
Right. It will be in our calendar moving forward. Nothing like this is gonna be missed or happen again.
Well, you can understand why we're a little bit concerned, and because of the fact you've basically been running, if I understand this correctly, for 2 years without an operator's license.
We
Well, actually,
have a server's license. I'm just not licensed. I have people there that are licensed that have that premise.
I'm the owner and I'm there often, and I've always been licensed.
Well, when we checked in, you weren't.
Right.
Okay, well,
can I add
we,
something?
yeah, go ahead.
You might want to consider it. So I just did a search of all our agendas and packets and stuff for since March of 2015. In August of, it's like the September meeting, the only place where Ryan's name comes up is in the 2015 compliance checks.
Right.
One of the individuals cited, but also I'm reading the police report right now. As I asked Prentice if anyone on site had an operator's license, and he replied no.
In
Yeah, and that was
2015.
that was literally when we were starting, and we've gotten more people licensed, and I've really, know the responsibility it takes. And I know that you guys hold these licenses, you don't just give them out. I understand that you gotta, make sure that they're going to the right people and not just anyone gets them. I totally understand that as well. I just can't tell you guys enough how much I feel I deserve to be able to sell alcohol in Middleton.
Can I also add that it
Ryan.
appears I just got to the next page. Apparently somebody else did have one who was working. Ryan just didn't know it at the time. So to be fair, it turns out from the report there actually was somebody, just Ryan didn't hold it.
And Ryan didn't know that person was licensed.
At the time, apparently not, but they did have somebody who was licensed at the time.
I showed all licenses when they came for the compliance check. So he should have known right away when I showed them that that person was there and, had license.
So Kathy, I want to ask, Nick, isn't this putting your business in serious trouble if you aren't double checking this?
Yes, definitely. And I mean, that's what we're trying to get on the right track and be more organized and moving forward. We really need Ryan to get licensed, so this isn't happening in the future. You know, Ryan is one of my main employees that's full-time. Obviously, with COVID, we haven't had very many people that we can find the full-time hours for. So, you know, getting Ryan licensed would be a major improvement and a major step for us in the right direction to making sure we're always compliant. You know, like I said, it's definitely something we're taking much more serious. I mean, there's absolutely no excuses. You know, there's absolutely no excuses. But of course, 2015 when we first opened, you know, I did have some people licensed, but we were a little chaotic, obviously. And like I said, there's no excuses for it, but we're here to make the effort to get the people licensed that need to be licensed, get on the right track moving forward so that we do not have any issues ever again.
Does it concern you, Nick, that you have, and I don't mean any disrespect, Ryan, but does it concern you that you have an employee with 3 OWIs on his record serving alcohol?
So what I can tell you is I grew up with Ryan. So to answer that question, basically what I can tell you is that I am extremely proud of Ryan for the changes he's made since the third one. You know, not very many people change, especially when they're, you know, 30 years old. And I mean, like I said, you can go back and look now, the last 3 years kind of are proof of the pudding, you know. So had I not seen a character change in Ryan and see him start taking life more seriously, we wouldn't be here right now. And he wouldn't be a leader for me. But so I guess, yeah, prior to 2018, that was a concern. Right now, with a clear conscience, I can tell you not at all a concern. He's as responsible as anyone around. You know, I guess I'm just asking, and I, you know, just people change, you know, I'm just asking you, please give him a second chance. Give him that opportunity. He's not gonna let you guys down. He's not gonna be back here saying, oh, I accidentally served a minor. It's not gonna happen.
Dan, Kathy, what are the, like, what is the recourse if that's not true?
That's just it. I don't know if that's why there was such a high standard, is you want to go into this with the expectation that these people have a good track record. Ryan, when is the last, now, if you haven't been licensed in Middleton, you would need a new alcohol servers course. Sure. When's the last time you took an alcohol servers course? Did you take it right before you applied again?
I took one, yeah, in 2015 in Virginia County. I was licensed in Columbia County. I took the servers course probably 2012.
Right, but when you went to apply, don't you have to include that certificate?
I took the certificate when I went to Middleton, and
yeah, we've been having employees take it online. Servingalcohol.com is
right. Understand that, but I thought that it'd have to be within 2 years of taking the course. Couldn't have expired if you're not an operator right now. If you don't have an operator's license now, it would have to be a more recent, wouldn't it?
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Ryan has taken it more recent, and I'm sure Lori has a copy of it.
I have a copy right here. It's from 2018, March 6th, 2018. It says valid for 2 years.
So it's really.
I can get you a more updated one.
Well, no, that would be Ryan who would have to get a more updated one.
Because that's expired.
Correct.
Well, now this is how I understand it, is once you get your operator's license, if you maintain a good, clean record, you can renew your license without getting another alcohol servers. But if you don't have your operator's license, you need a valid alcohol servers course certificate.
Yeah, so I can totally take another course and get certified. I have no problem passing those tests. I know all about them, and like I said, you know, I'd like to learn from them, like whatever I can.
Well,
in order to fill out the application, then you're going to have that new certificate?
Sure, I could do that.
Because
So,
we can. Jeremy, can you, because my concern isn't just with the Ryan and his license. My concern is with the business as a whole. I'm not really sure how it is that you don't know who you have licensed or don't license. I mean, that's a pretty integral part of your business. So I'm interested in some of our underage checks. Have we had any issues with Dickies?
Well, yes, in 2015, Ryan was cited for selling underage. I didn't do a check. I can do that in our record system as we go on here to see. I don't know of any other ones. We did not do underage alcohol checks this year because of the COVID pandemic. That's the last thing on our agenda, is just talking about the licensed premise checks, which led to the January 2021 issue. But I can look real quick here and get back to you in a second.
and the 2015, like I said, it was just a mathematical error. I was totally trying to be compliant and check. Now I got that fixed with the calendar next to the register, and I'm not trying to make an excuse, but that's what happened.
Right. This isn't on the job training. I know the alcohol server, a lot of what they have in there is how to check the IDs, and you can check them over and over and over again. And the person with the operator's license, everyone that's on duty should know who that person is, so that they can refer to them any questions they have about IDs, if they're real, if they're, or not, and that person should be checking to make sure that people aren't getting overserved. So it's not like, oh, I think somebody's an operator here. That person you have to know who that person is and take this serious.
I do. I understand that. The reason I wasn't sure in the past was because I had so many employees coming and going. Like, they weren't staying long. Some got served or like approved, and then they were gone, a month later. And, like I said, it's all in one spot in a binder. I can totally look and see who's licensed and who's not. As of right now, Josh is my licensed guy at night. Everyone knows he's the one that checks IDs because he's the one that's going to know what to look for. And the rest of my staff as well knows ID everybody, no matter how old they are. We only sell beer. We don't sell a lot of it, but we always check no matter how old they look.
And we have gone over to, right, all the IDs say under 21 until this date for every minor. So, we're going over that with our staff. If it says under 21 until March 10th of 2021, they don't get a beer.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, it's the over serving too, and having the judgment to make sure that who you're serving is still capable of taking care of themselves and stuff. So this is a very responsible position, and I'm just not, I don't know if I'm there yet. So
I can say I would not overserve anyone, and I can totally tell signs. We've never sold more than 2 beers to one person since we've opened. People don't just come there and drink.
Yeah,
I know they can come there drunk, and still try to buy a beer. And if they're too impaired, definitely can't serve them. They're a danger to the public. I get that.
It's true. Dickies isn't a place where people go just to hang out for drinks, for sure. Jeremy, did you find something?
No, I was just going to fill you in. It doesn't look like there's anything beyond what I had previously reported. So the 2015 underage compliant, and then there were the one in 2018, and then the one in 2021 where there was no licensed person on premise. So just the one underage sales.
That was recorded.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
That was the only one, I can guarantee it.
So where do we want to go with this?
Well, I'm not sure we can approve anything. We don't have he doesn't have a certificate.
Right, but
So he's got an incomplete application.
is it prolonging the inevitable? What do you think?
Well,
If Ryan comes and completes the online course and comes with a complete application, would you guys approve him?
See, that's why I'm asking if that would just be, that was my question.
Yeah.
So,
When was the last OWI? 2014 or 26?
It was a
Pardon?
2016 case that was, the conviction was in 2018, I believe. Yep,
Through 2016.
November 2016 conviction in January 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said,
So my lesson as well. I definitely know I'm drinking and driving. I don't even hardly drink at all. I've definitely changed my life around, and I feel like I would not let you guys down one bit.
personally, I feel like I would deny this, because if it were like a renewal that was getting denied and this was something that you had, and you know, there was only one instance of something, it slipped up, but this is just my opinion. So I'd like to hear from the others also, but on the committee.
Well, my struggle isn't so much your OWIs, those were 5 years ago. And people do change, do grow up. But my concern is there seems to be a systemic failure. And this is what I don't understand, is how you cannot know as a general manager and as an owner who is a licensed operator and who's not a licensed operator. And these are things that we expect out of all people, all of the businesses serving alcohol. And so we have to have a certain amount of standards, or there's no point in even doing this. You're just going to be handing out licenses. And there seems to be, I'm not comfortable, there seems to be a systemic failure that you wouldn't know that he's not licensed. He wouldn't know he's not licensed.
That's I have a small business too, and I understand that there's a lot on your plate, but you just cannot understand that, and because of that, at first blush, I lean towards denial. And that's why it was a miscommunication between me and the owner. You know, we both each other thought we were filing them or applying for, but that's over with. Now it can just be one of us. We all on the same page. You guys have really opened our eyes to how serious this is, and we've literally talked about this and come up with ways where we can be more organized when it comes to this. I understand why you think that.
If I can chime in, I think as we deliberate this, I mean, this is kind of gets a little bit muddled, because we are considering an operator's license for an individual, Brian, but he's also acting as a general manager, or maybe not, that's not his title, but in a sort of a managerial capacity. But at the same time, a lot of the problems also seem to stem from issues that may not be entirely under control. This was denied originally because of the OWI issues. Then we kind of got into the question of, having sold underage. So as to those issues, I mean, I think it's important for the committee to decide, as to the prior convictions. I mean, I think we can conclude they're substantially related, but has there been shown, evidence of rehabilitation, or do you believe that there's been enough time? Then you move on to, I think, just general fitness, and that seems to be the issue that you're having most trouble with. But there, I think that's where it's becoming difficult because the responsibilities here and who is supposed to be tracking that seem to be a little bit muddled. But I think it's just important to make sure that as we discuss this, and whatever your vote is going to be, that you clearly separate out and articulate why it is you are, if you're going to deny, what the reasons are for it, and where the failings you find that they lie to justify. So for instance, if you think that this was really largely the problem of Nick not doing his job, I think particularly if you find that there's evidence of rehabilitation on the offenses, I think it makes the rationale for denial a little bit more difficult. But here we also, though, basically have them both explaining to us that Ryan is taking over some level of managerial responsibility, and so does that, in his failure to know whether he even had a license himself, speak to the fitness to hold one.
Well, I think you made a good point, Matthew. Hold me accountable for it. I've been, when somebody's not on site that has an operator's license, I'm the one that's fined, and an opportunity to do better. I'm trying to get more organized right now, but me aside and my shortcomings aside, I just ask you that, I guess leave me out of it and look at Ryan for the improvement, that you've seen, that things have changed clearly in his life since 2016. If you go back and considering him for that. And I would just ask, as now that Ryan is taking over the general manager position at Dickies, this is the first step towards really getting us organized and showing how much he cares. I mean, this is his second Zoom meeting. I think it's going to be impossible to get organized like you guys want us to if you deny him. I mean, he's our full-time guy. I guess, like I said, I'm just asking. Mainly what I'm trying to ask here is that don't hold Ryan responsible for my shortcomings.
Jeremy, when this went to the police department and it was denied, was it denied mainly because it was an incomplete application, or was it because the whole host of the offenses that were listed?
It was a combination of all of them. So yeah, it was the failing to report all the OWIs, and then the underage alcohol sales and the licensing issues seem to be an ongoing issue.
Have you seen other operator license applications with this that were denied on these basis also? Or does it?
So the denials are relatively rare, and depending on generally speaking, so they go to the city first and then they ship them off to us and then we run the background checks. So percentage wise, well, you guys know that you don't see the appeals very often, but I think all of them that have recently denied have, well, in the last year or so, have come for the appeal. So there's only been a handful.
Okay. And when something's denied, it's not typically the incompleteness of the application, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we can look past a couple of errors here and there, but it's mostly the content of, what may be missing.
The content, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I think, where do we want to go from here?
Is there any way you guys can do a license for 6 months or a year, and just so something where we can have the opportunity to prove that we are taking this seriously and we are getting on track like you guys are looking for?
There is a temporary license. How long is it good for? Like maybe 60 days or something? But that doesn't really, I mean, if it's denied because of,
There's provisional licenses and I can
Yeah.
look that up, but I don't think that the reason for the
But
provisional license is.
right, it's not like, this isn't a test. We're gonna test him out and see how it works out. This is if he qualifies or he doesn't, so.
And what I can say is I realized years ago, like I can't change my past. I'm gonna have it on my record, but I can totally change my future and make it better.
Mhm.
You know, I can't
No.
hide my past. I really can't. But I can tell you I've come a long way.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Did you get the definition of the provisional or the,
Yeah, I'm looking at it
Yeah.
right now.
Well, if you haven't found it yet, Matt, I have the League of Municipalities.
Oh, you got I'm just looking at our ordinance,
Okay,
which, is basically an application that the city clerk approves and issues.
so the notes, so this is the handbook from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities regarding alcohol. The note listed as says, when it was first enacted, it appeared that the purpose of a provisional retail license was to allow first-time applicants for retail licenses to open for business while completing the responsible server training course requirement that had been newly established and was not readily available. However, the statutes do not specify the circumstances under which provisional retail licenses are issued. So,
Well, and also it says a provisional license may not be issued to any person who has been denied an operator's license by the city clerk,
Mhm.
which seems to
Which makes
effectively
sense.
have-
those are pretty clear.
Yeah.
to have happened here, which is why we're here in the first place. So, yeah, but I think we have to either kind of consider this on the merits here and now. And so, if you are thinking of denial, we have to state the reasons for it, because Lauren will have to send written confirmation of exactly what the reasons are. And typically that is, well, by ordinance, it's the arrest or conviction record subject to the limitations that we talked about, has to be related. But you also have to consider the, rehabilitation factors. And like I said, you'll have to decide whether the convictions are even an issue any longer. The last criteria that is potentially applicable is the applicant's fitness for the trust to be reposed, and that seems to be the area where you seem to be most struggling. But so if you were to deny on that basis, I think you have to basically articulate the reasons why you think Ryan is not fit to be trusted with an operator's license.
And it sounds like you guys are just basing it on my past, like you're not trusting me because of my past violations. And I've, like I said, turned my life around 180 degrees. So I feel like you can't really hold my past against me right now.
We only have what we have as far as information to go on.
I get that.
And I respect that you are working hard on your responsibilities. But I'm afraid I'm with Dan on this, that we can't just leave Nick out of it. Seems like there's a problem figuring out who's the lifeguard on every shift.
So if Ryan was employed by somewhere else, would you guys give him a license? That's more responsible than me.
I
That's,
am not saying that.
Well,
I think, isn't that a valid question though in this instance? Like I said, again, it seems like you're holding me against Ryan. So I guess I would just ask you guys to, what your answer is there if Ryan was.
Well, we have a gentleman who's tried to turn his life around, as he says. And we have these problems with no licensed server on board when the police have gone in twice. And
I believe you have.
it's a combination of all of these pieces of information, and it is the only information that we can go on.
And
Right.
I've looked at all the schedules, who's working and who's licensed. If I had a license, there would always be somebody there that's licensed right now. If
Right.
that person, if the other person does end up quitting, I can take it from there and get another person licensed. But I just can't do it unless I'm not licensed, you know?
Well, Kathy, Dan, do we do this again after Ryan goes through his course?
I think if we were to approve it, it would have to go back to the police to get the final application and the alcohol server's certificate. And if they know how we are, if we're okay with this, then they could go ahead and take care of issuing it. Would that be true, Jeremy?
As long as Matt says that's okay, that sounds like a great option for me. As long as you guys know, I can show that he appealed it on his application and send it back to the city issues that the clerk does.
Yeah, I mean, if you approve it conditioned upon him finishing, presenting proof of completion of the beverage course to the police department, you could do that. Or if you still want some time to think about it, you could suggest that you go and do it, and that would come back in a month and consider it then too. It really just kind of depends. But I just want to be clear in terms of who you need to hold responsible. And here, I think the question for you guys, at least in terms of the thinking you have a license, is one, do you accept that this was the arrangement, that Nick was really supposed to be doing all this? And then secondly, does that, especially given the responsibilities that Ryan's supposedly taking over, does that necessarily excuse not having an operator's license? I don't know how you feel about that, and I think you can make an argument either way. But either way, denial or not has to be based upon your opinions about Ryan, and your other concerns about the business more broadly, I think have to be looked at separately. This is really about Ryan's individual culpability.
Right. We've been on this for a while now, but I don't want to belabor it. But the offenses like the no operator's license, licensed operator, does that ever reflect on the alcohol license that's held by the business or the business license?
I think that's something we would typically see on renewals if you had several no licensed operators. I mean, we've certainly looked at that because we've bumped into a number of occasions when we've done our compliance checks, and that's always another thing that kind of goes along with it.
So if anything, if it were to fall onto the owner's shoulders, it would be because of the not having the proper licensed person. And now what we're looking at though is Ryan becoming licensed only, not whether there was, yeah.
Yeah, because we can have the broader conversation with Nick as to what his new policies are and how his policies are working when it comes time for renewal.
Got it.
And I'm happy to come back at another time to any other meeting you want and discuss that further. I guess I would just ask that tonight we give Ryan a chance to get his license and move forward.
Okay. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts or rationale is, but I In the past, we have looked at rehabilitation here recently. In the very recent past, we've had an issues. And I believe that, you know, his last offense was 16. So I'm fine with that. I struggle with the, you know, putting yourself out as having a license but not having a license. So I struggle a little bit with that. But from what we've done in the past, I would vote. I'll make a motion to conditionally approve his license with the condition that he takes the new course, submits that to the police department. Having said that, as an aside, when it comes time for the liquor license renewal, I'd like to have Nick come in because I'd like to have a conversation at that point with what you have done to cure these deficiencies that you've obviously had. We need to take this stuff seriously, and I don't necessarily think that you've taken it as seriously as you should in the past. And so I would like to see, when we get to your renewal, some steps that you've taken to show us that you're taking this seriously. But that would be my motion.
Understood. Thank you.
To renew, to conditionally approve an operator's license.
I will reluctantly second.
Ryan, I want to say I can appreciate your efforts to be rehabilitating and going on another path. If it weren't for COVID and knowing that your staff is low right now, I would have asked that you hire somebody else on to take on this operator's license. But knowing that there's only a limited number of employees that you really can keep on right now with COVID, I would reluctantly agree to this too. But remember, this is very unusual. So
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I totally understand the seriousness of the situation, why you guys thought the way you thought. I can say I won't let you down, you know, and I feel I'm really capable of, you know, being a responsible person.
okay, don't prove us wrong. Make sure that you do what you need to. Okay.
I can totally
Thank
do
you.
that.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's all in favor of appealing the denial of the operator's license for Ryan Prentice, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ryan, you're on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys.
Appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to license and permits. The application, we're gonna do 1 and 2 together. My screen is frozen here. I'm having trouble here. Oh, there we go. Hang on. Application for a special event permit by Friends of Pheasant Branch Conservancy, Peter Witucky, contact person for the 2021 Prairie Chase Run Walk on June 26th, 2021 at Orchid Heights Parks, and the application for an outdoor amplified sound permit by the same, and for speeches and announcements from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so Peter's on the call tonight, so able to answer any questions you might have. This is an annual event that the Friends of Pheasant Branch Conservancy have put on annually, and he has provided several. Sorry, am I giving some feedback? Is that me?
You sound good to
Okay.
me.
Oh, okay. He's provided several different options for routes. They have been reviewed by the Parks Department, haven't fully finalized which one, and that'll kind of depend on where we're at with outdoor gathering limits. And then he has put together a pretty comprehensive event safety guide to accompany his application.
As is as is my history, I just asked that we adhere to the 9 AM amplified sound, that we don't start that any earlier.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're not, in the past, we've requested the amplified sound permit for actually an acoustic band, which won't be performing this year anyway. So I included that in the event that we need to make using a portable megaphone, but I don't even, with our reduced crowd sizes, I don't even anticipate we'll need that, but.
Sure. Some of the neighbors are sensitive to sound, and in previous years, we've had events there that started a little early. So I appreciate the 9 AM. Thank you.
The park is quite close to those houses there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
I would make a motion to approve both the application for the special event permit and the outdoor amplified sound.
Let's second that.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Peter.
Good evening.
On to number 3, application for special event permit for Beat the Blues. Chris Baki, contact person for the 2021 Beat the Blues Cruise on April 10th, 2021 at Kiva Sports Center.
Yeah, so this is also an annual event held at Kiva Sports Center. And the only difference this year would be that with their lower attendance numbers, they are looking to only use sidewalks and no streets. And they have also, and Chris is on the call, so also able to answer any questions, but she has also provided an event safety plan to address some COVID concerns.
Okay,
Okay, I'd make a motion to approve the special event permit for Beat the Blues Cruise.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Chris.
number 4, application of renewal of an annual outdoor amplified sound permit by Jamie Sims for the Middleton High School 2100 Bristol Street, Middleton, Wisconsin for band, sound system, and speeches announcement, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., March 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. Did they have bands on this before? I don't recall them having.
As in marching bands or?
Oh, maybe that's what they're
Yeah,
talking
it's
about.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think that's what it's for.
Their high, and I believe they had it on their permit last year.
Okay.
It's
I
Not
think
like-
it always is.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're-
it's
yeah,
just for their
they're-
stadium events.
Okay, okay.
I'll move approval.
I was just.
Oh, sorry.
Never
My
mind.
fault.
We can talk after that. If you,
Okay, I'll second.
we've never had any, did you get a lot of complaints of this, Jeremy? By-
We used to consistently. There was one person on Brookdale that used to complain frequently, but it has not been an issue recently, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, well, on to ordinances. An update to the ordinance creating loading zones in front of the library to address the sunset clause. Right now, we have it set for March 31st of this year. Darn, COVID lasted longer than the sunset clause. Go figure.
Yeah. So can we just update it by moving out the date?
Yeah, I've got it all drafted. They just need to know what date we wanna, just left the date blank.
Okay. And so.
We just have to determine when COVID's gonna leave.
What's up? We have to divide.
Somebody
it.
here tell us when COVID's gonna be done?
Wait, let me get the CDC on the line. How about the end of the year? Or push it out 1 year.
Let's say that
Well,
again.
that's a depressing thought.
Let's just make it the end of the year. I feel like Dr. Fauci's been saying that by Thanksgiving, we're gonna be back to normal if all goes well.
Mhm. Well, I know tourism, when I hear them talk about how long before tourism is gonna recover, it just makes me shudder.
So should we just go December 31st, 2021?
Well, I'd like it to be the same for all of these that we're going to be talking about. And I think December 31st would be fine.
Yeah, I would say yes for December 31st for both of them, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
Is that your motion?
Sure,
Okay.
that'll be my motion, December 31st.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Okay, number 2, an update to the ordinance creating a park for public commons purpose on vacant lands west of City Hall to address the sunset clause.
Move to change.
One
ahead.
thing we did hear about was that there was the word park in here, and people got kind of nervous that they wanted to make sure that we knew that this wasn't a park. Do you
Yes.
remember that?
This and Stone Horse, right? Not
Right, they're not
parks.
parks.
So do we just move that the sunset clause be moved to December 31st as well?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all
Aye.
in favor? Aye, okay. Okay, an ordinance relating to the appointment procedures and terms of city boards, committees, and commissions. Boy, for just one little item on here, this is such a big item. The only thing, these are, Matt, these are going to be voting members now. And I think some of the documents say non-voting
So that's what
student
I wanted to be
members.
clear on. So we are still going to continue to specify the committees where those under 18 can be, but where we have done that,
Mhm.
they will be allowed to be voting members. Okay,
Right,
but now that
And-
creates another problem in that we have
Oh,
a lot of
ties.
these, they have been even numbered committees because we have put on non-voting members.
well, the council kind of talked about that, and they thought since these were all advisory, and for the most part, people, they do vote. There's not a lot of ties, so they thought that it would be okay.
Okay.
And if it is a tie, then it just goes to the
Okay,
council.
I will change that.
Um,
There is one,
So we're going to also add workforce housing and sustainability. Their high school members are going to be voting members also, that they weren't before. So now we'll have workforce housing, sustainability, CLC, parks, and let's see, arts, and bike ped.
are those
That's
all
right.
the committees where we have youth members?
Have student members that will have student members on them.
There is one other issue that came up by way of Sean Stowski that frankly, I can't believe this has not been a problem before, because it's an issue, it should be an issue under our existing ordinance language, but somehow mysteriously it's not. That problem is that we have 4 committees who are made up in part, well, one is entirely of members appointed by other bodies, and a couple other that are, have individual members. CLC has 3 members that are all there by virtue of being chairs or the appointees of the chairs of other committees. And they all have, even currently, say that that their officers are supposed to be appointed at their first meeting in, well, May right now. We've changed that to June. But it seems to me that, if all these committees have their first meetings in June, you're going to have some committees that at least shouldn't really know who their whole membership is until the other committees appoint their chairs. How is this never?
That's true.
On paper, this should be chaos, but
Well,
Well,
let's say-
the committees don't change that often. And
yeah,
so, I mean, it's very rare. And so the committee, if there is a case like this past year where the plan commission just went without the designee from Parks for a period of time until Parks voted their chair. So there was a meeting or two that they didn't have a designee.
So how does that work then? If these are designees from the other committees, does the council vote on them? If they're, do they have to vote on them?
In most instances, no. These are, so like for instance, CLC, it's all, you're automatically a member if you are the chair of the various committees or the chair appoints somebody,
Right.
presumably from the committee, on to sit in their place. So the council doesn't vote on those. The strange one though, I don't think I drafted the stormwater utility board one. All of those are, you've got 3 water resources, 1 public works, 1 finance committee, 1 public or 1 PRFC and 1 CLC member. All of those are appointed by the membership of the various committees. And so, but then there's still, the language still says then they're all recommended from the committees, but the mayor still appoints and the council approves. I'm not sure we want to delve into curing that anomaly there, but it is, the entire membership is made up of all appointees from other committees, and apparently that happens without trouble. And we haven't had the, I don't know, I'm just really surprised that, yeah, that this just all seems to work.
It's never become an issue.
Well, then I'm not eager to make it one. Like I said, on paper, it seems like it should be chaos, but
Yeah. Well, if they appoint them through the committees and the council didn't have to approve them, then they could just all appear in the June meeting. But if the council has to approve them, then it would be the first council meeting in June that they'd have to be
well,
approved.
and I don't see,
But
I mean,
if it's not a problem.
yeah, I
we
mean,
don't
the only
have to-
one the only 2 that seem like it could, I mean, I can definitely see for water resources where it's just the PRFC and workforce housing as a plan commission member, where it's just 1 member that hinges on that. Oh, I'm sorry, they got water resources, a water resources person. No. That can't be right. 1 plan commission member. Where it's just 1 person, I can't see that really, I can see where that could get smoothed over pretty easy, but for the stormwater utility board, I mean, I really can't get going until July, unless you have plenty of members that are just carried over, I guess.
Mhm.
I think for the reason it's not an issue is I don't think that there's been in the committee-wide system enough turnover to create that kind of logjam mess that you're talking about.
Mhm.
Well, let's just keep whistling along. I'm fine with
The whistle right past that graveyard.
Right. Okay, so what I will just do then is I will just make everything that we got in there, we'll leave it as is. I will just remove the non-voting language from all the youth members.
Yeah, the other question that came up with the youth members were, there could be high school, but any high school, but should they be Middleton residents of the city of Middleton?
Oh,
I think they should be, but
But you see, this is where sometimes you should just leave well enough alone, because
well, thanks, Dan.
just a personal opinion here. But if they go to Middleton High School, so a Middleton High School student that lives in Cross Plains, the mayor can appoint them. I mean, it gets a little bit.
well, maybe it's probably something that should be thought, because it does sort of beg the question, if our default is adult residents of the city of Middleton, now we have one that may be a high school member, is just saying high school member, clearly that is specific as to being an adult, but is that also a specific overturning of the residency requirement? It kind of feels like maybe that question would arise. We might want to be specific about whether we are also for the high school member waiving residency.
I would prefer them being a resident of the city of Middleton.
Be
They don't
prepared
have
for,
to go to Middleton school, but they could be homeschooled, they could be anything, but
Do we have any,
I can be overruled. I can overthink
Yeah.
things. So.
do we have any idea of what has been the case in the past with the high school members that we have had? Does anybody even know?
I don't know that we
Well,
even
on
know.
sustainability, they're all city. On sustainability, they've been city residents.
But
Yeah, and
And I don't know.
our school district pulls from what, 5 different zip codes.
mhm. Yeah, I say we don't specify, and if it becomes a problem, we can tweak it.
Well, but the only deal with that is if you anticipate a problem, it's better to try to head the problem off, is what Matt said.
Yeah, I understand, but what you're saying is that, Middleton High School pulls from 5 zip codes. They've got a sustainability
But-
club at the high school, and if somebody wants to be a part of the committee,
This does not say that they have to be from the Middleton High School either,
Just as
does
a
it?
High school,
Anybody can submit their application.
right?
It's a high schooler. They could be homeschooled,
Yeah, I
they could
think it's-
be from anywhere,
But
really.
if they
wanted
happen to be coming from the high school and they, live in Verona or whatever, would we let them in on the committee?
well, and remember too, that it still has to be somebody that's appointed by the mayor, and the council has to approve them. And so the question is too, would you actually choose anyone that's not from Middleton High School? Or, I mean,
So you just walked yourself right into the problem.
well, yeah, it's,
Okay, well, if we want to just,
yeah, it doesn't seem to
I
be
just
an
want-
issue before, so,
this one's going so well.
No good deed.
I don't know, this has kind of
Okay.
become our old friend. We could always just bring this back on the agenda.
Every time.
Well, it'd be nice to have it by the 1st of
Right.
April when he starts picking
Well, let's,
applications. So if you guys are good with any high schooler, that's fine. We can just go with that. So, but they will be
Yeah,
voting.
I am.
Okay,
okay. Then I will, yeah, remove the non-voting addition to all of the places that it has it, and then
those
I'll
6,
get this put together, and I believe the council also asked for a kind of to see all of this in the context of the whole.
yes, yeah.
So I will,
I have one last question. So the students who are already on committees will not be able to vote until the next
Till we pass the ordinance.
term. Yeah, okay, got it.
And then they would be able to retroact to it if they're on the committee or are reappointed, they'd be able to vote from that point, right?
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Now, I don't remember, did we have a motion and a second on this already?
I didn't know that we needed one. Do we need one? Oh, yeah,
well, I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, you still had to confirm and decide what the change was going to be, so I guess,
so no, the answer to the question is no.
Okay,
Okay, I will move that we allow student members of all committees that have student members to be voting members. Is that what we need, or do we need more?
no, yeah, that'd be fine, or just, I'd say you move that we make that change to the draft and recommend approval.
I move that we change the draft to oh my gosh, can't talk anymore, to voting members for students.
okay.
Ugh.
So,
I'll second
okay,
that.
thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Oh, so
Grudgingly,
enthusiastic.
no.
Okay, on to miscellaneous. We're 19 minutes here. Discussion for additional business COVID relief measures. This we put on because we'd at one time talked about the sidewalk cafe permits, that we're waiving those fees, and also curbside parking spots for businesses. Matt, the
We waived the permit fees, right?
We did waive
At our
those,
last
but
council
the-
member meeting.
Right, but what the businesses are asking for is if they can expand into the parking spots in front of their businesses.
Expand seating out into the street.
Yeah,
That can already happen under our sidewalk cafe permit ordinance allows also consideration of using any part of the public right of way. So that can be, we don't need any new ordinances to allow that. The only thing that I saw that seemed to be in earlier council minutes or something brought up that we never took any action on, that we needed to, if we wanted to do something, was to create additional, like curbside pickup
yeah,
things. And
okay.
I guess that's where I don't know if, has that been just working out somehow for business?
No, yeah, I did talk to some of the businesses, but I did want to, about the sidewalk cafe permits. Is there any way the businesses, I'm thinking along Hubbard, like Vincent or anything in the evening, if they could, do they only get the spot right in front of their building, or could they ask to like go in front of the senior center spots at all? Is there?
I don't think that there doesn't seem to be anything on the ordinance that specifically prohibits, expanding beyond certain areas.
Because it would be after senior center hours, and okay. But they could work that out in their sidewalk cafe permit and where they want.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would
Okay.
not want to just give that out willy-nilly, but I
Right.
don't think there's anything that prohibits that.
Right, but the curbside parking, what we had talked about, and I talked to, and I got a little fuzzy on this, but I remember talking to Sean Stowski about how we were going to work that, with signage and what I think they decided to do, and I talked to businesses, and none of them used it last year, that it just seemed to work out without it. So they were good with that, but it was just that they would put a sign up during their business hours and take it in when they were done. But none of them, they seemed to go fine without it. So I think we don't have to worry about that part of it.
Well, and they're probably, I think, if it were me, that space would be more valuable as outdoor seating than.
Well, no, this was for a retail business for curbside pickup.
Let's see.
I see what you're saying, but anyway, so I think we're good with the curbside pickup areas too.
And so we'll just, and that one was gonna sunset at the end of this month too, right?
I don't know if we ever actually had a date on it.
Oh, okay.
No, well, yeah, I mean, I thought at the last meeting, the council just, because that wasn't an ordinance change that required it. I thought the council just expressed approval that continued. I think we have everything we need to do.
Yeah.
that.
And, that was just a COVID thing. My feeling is that weather's getting nice. People are going to be able to walk to or park to wherever they need to. So I'm good with not doing anything with the curbside. And if the businesses ask for it again, we can always bring it back. But at this point, I'm ready to just let it settle.
Mhm.
Okay. Jeremy, report on recently conducted operator license checks.
Yeah, so you might not be too surprised by one of them on here. So this is just, instead of doing the underage alcohol compliance checks because of COVID and trying to find a volunteer and putting them in any of those businesses, So we didn't do that this year. So we just did license checks and operator license checks. So Tom Wilson, our community officer, and a couple of patrol officers as well helped him and went into all of our licensed establishments just to make sure that whomever was there was licensed, or they had an operator that was licensed, and that they had their liquor license. So we didn't take any enforcement action as far as writing citations, and there were only, keep in mind that the majority of these weren't necessarily in violation. They just didn't have an operator there. It's not that they were necessarily selling alcohol at the time. So that wasn't what we were trying to do. We weren't trying to buy alcohol for when they didn't have somebody. But the list there that I put in the packet are those businesses that did not have an operator on site, or didn't know if they had an operator on site. As far as the pick and save one goes, that was the issue of not having their permits, or whomever was there not knowing where those permits were. So more of just information for you guys, that this, in lieu of the underage license or alcohol checks, this is what we did. And there were a number that did not have operators. Obviously Dickey's was one of them. And we did some education. Lori got involved as well. Tom talked to Lori and made sure that she's going to make it even more obvious when somebody applies for a liquor license, that they understand what those laws are and the need to have an operator, a licensed operator on premise if they're going to be serving alcohol. So that's the basics of it.
Wow, some of these I'm kind of surprised that they wouldn't. World of Beer, you would think that was pretty important. They would be.
Yeah, and
Ruth's Chris too.
Chris, yeah.
Yeah, that one really surprises me.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't know if it's a combination of the COVID issues, reduced staff, not being able to have the same number of employees. Turnover is obviously a problem, like Dickey's talked about as well. So.
Yeah, and I get that with COVID, you don't have the same number of employees that you might normally have.
Yep.
I didn't know Dollar Tree had sold anything that.
Yeah, that surprises me.
So they have, they got the liquor license approved, but they only sell beer and wine. They don't sell liquor.
For $1, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't checked.
Where's the Dollar Tree?
Where's Wyatt?
Is that Dollar General or Dollar Tree?
Oh,
I bet it's Dollar General.
I think it's Dollar General, isn't it?
Yes, I'm sorry. Maybe that one might have, this was a list that Tom gave me. Let me look that one up.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're right. Dollar Tree does not have a liquor license.
Well, that's not.
Well, I think that when, as was discussed earlier in the meeting, I think that when the renewals come up, we once again are going to have to reiterate what our expectations are.
Do we want anybody on this list when they apply again to have the owners come in when we comes up for renewal?
When are we going to, when do you plan to do checks again?
Well, that's always up in the air. We usually try to.
How many times a year do you do them?
Generally, in the years past, we've done them twice. One would usually be like an underage license, an underage alcohol sting. And then another one would be just a license check. That's a lot easier for our general patrol to do. The problem with the underage compliance checks is that some of those businesses are not open when we're doing them. Right. And then there's some businesses like, Pick and Save, or at least when they were cops anyway, they had a standard policy. Everybody gets carded. Don't care if you're 95 or 21.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult for us to do them there, obviously, but there's no set date. That's something that our community awareness officer usually does. And we just completed them now. And so generally speaking, summer, fall, maybe if we have an intern or somebody that we find through MATC, that's interested in criminal justice, we'll find somebody under 21 and send them in. So they like to, it's a good resume builder for them.
For sure.
It's interesting. I would never like doing that. I'm just not that kind of guy that, likes to try and do that. Some people love going in and doing it, and other people get really nervous when they're going. So nothing scheduled yet, but it'll be a while.
Very good. It's good information. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that comes to the end of our agenda.
Okay.
Is So, motion to
So
adjourn,
moved.
anyone?
Second.
Favor? Aye. Oh,
Thank you all.
Thank
bye.
everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Guys, you too.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye.